You are listening to the Examine Life with Bram Levinson. These are the sounds of England for me. The sounds of wind in the trees, all kinds of trees. The sounds of birds flapping their wings overhead and calling to each other. It's May 2023, and I am in my home away from home in England 4 years and 1 month after my last time here. And before 2019, well, before the pandemic hit in 2020, I was here every year, as many of you know if you follow me on social media. My closest friends are here, my godsons are here, and I knew during the pandemic that part of my suffering was down to not being able to come here, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I got back a couple of days ago. To be here for me is to recharge. I realized that when I travel, and I suppose when I don't, when I'm at home, I need to be surrounded by what strikes me as beauty. And when I'm here, there's so much beauty, it is mind-boggling. And when I'm in Greece, same thing. And to be here with my people, to be in this incredible location in rural England, and actually where I'm standing right now, I'm at the edge of their massive back lawn, looking over the fence at the perimeter of their land. And right over the fence is this church that dates back to, I think, the 15th century, the 14th century, bordered by really old gravestones and overgrown weeds. It's all very Gothic. It's all very almost medieval. It's beautiful. And it's where I find something. It's a very inexplicable something, but what I can tell you is that I am, or at least there is a part of me that apologizes for having so much time between my last podcast episode and this one. And suffice it to say that, like many people who have lived whatever their lived experience was over the past few years through pandemica, I've been going through stuff. There has been a process of going through, and I'm still going through, but I feel like I'm more on the edge of the healing side of it than I am to the trauma side of it. And essentially, I won't get too into it, but I think that what happened in pandemica is old patterns of trauma were revived in me, and the ways that I responded to trauma as a kid kicked back in. And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't feel like I was in any position to sit here and talk to people about what I thought was best for them when I couldn't figure out what was best for me. And if you know me, you know that this podcast is produced by me, recorded by me, edited by me. I don't have a producer. I don't have any sort of corporate anything around this, at least not for now. And I didn't want to just sit here and talk about theoretical anything when I felt like my situation was so volatile. I didn't want to be hypocritical about it. And I suppose that for those of you who know me, you already know that I don't talk about or teach anything that I don't believe is true and from the heart. I certainly don't want to be that person who stands in the wellness community talking bullshit all the time while, doing spiritual bypass on their own side, on their own part, in their own experience. And so for me, it was very important to feel Like if I was going to do this, it was coming from a place of authenticity and a place of selflessness and truth. And so here I stand in the corner of this beautiful, massive lawn, looking at this old Anglican church, feeling like, okay, now's the time. And I brought this portable microphone with me just in case inspiration landed, and luckily I had thought about that beforehand. And luckily I've got this microphone that I've never recharged once. I've never changed the batteries. I'm not quite sure what kind of power it's running on, but me standing in front of a church thinking spiritual thoughts may have something to do with where this microphone is getting its power from. But with all of that said, what I have experienced over the past few days has been kind of mind-boggling. I have been in this pattern of trying to figure things out in my own experience of life over the past year and a half, 2 years. And as I mentioned to some of you in person, maybe through some posts I had done when I was in Greece last year, I have this habit, there's a part of me that has a habit of wanting to figure things out and fix things. And while I am here, I have been talking to that part in a very internal family systems kind of way, and just being with it and asking it to soften and step back and just give me some breathing room and breathing space, and that seems to be working. And what it has brought me back to has been this concept, this idea of work ethic. I think that I've been instilled with and adopted a work ethic throughout adolescence and throughout my adult life, and especially in this career, where I want things to be excellent and I want things to be an authentic expression of me and what I want to do in the world, which is to accompany people and to help and be part of the solution, and not just be one more person vomiting useless information into a podcasting microphone. It feels like when I started podcasting, it was still kind of on the fringe, and then, over the next few years, it like just turned into one more narcissistic avenue for people to hear themselves speaking and try to get validation from other people, and that's not why I do what I do. I don't want it to be about me, and to be fair, it isn't about me. I think it's about whatever feels the need to work through me. Well, through the Bramness, through the body, through the voice. And really, I've noticed that my work ethic when it comes to my career is to put something of value and excellence out into the world, to be able to guide people properly, responsibly. But what I've realized over the past few months is that that work ethic that manifests as career-oriented stuff doesn't just stop when I look at other aspects of my life. That work ethic to get things perfect and to not stop, and growth mindset and all of that, it also bleeds into when I should be resting, when I go away, when I take time off. Many of you who message me through social media or through texting or whatever, email, you know that I get back immediately. And I recognize that I'm a little bit too close to my technology. I have been. And perhaps that was a bit of a survival mechanism during the pandemic, to maintain some semblance of connection to others when physically we were being told to, avoid. But what I'm realizing is that work ethic is such a common term in our culture, and yet rest ethic has never been spoken about. And I think that we need to look at that. We need to look at what our rest ethic is. What is your rest ethic? For as hard as you work, and for as hard as you produce, and for as much as you do, how do you apply that same effort and energy and intensity and intention into rest. We're not encouraged to rest. We're not encouraged to stop. We're encouraged from infancy to participate in an economic system. Go get an education. Learn what traditional schooling is like. Conform. Do it. Get as far as you can through the educational systems. Get whatever degrees or diplomas or pieces of paper or certifications you need to be able to be seen through the eyes of others as valid enough to be employed. Get the job, make the money, buy the things, know that that will continue to grow and grow and grow as long as that amount that you make annually grows and grows and grows. Defend what you need to in order to keep it, and ultimately pay taxes on all of it. Pay, 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 pay. We are not taught, as so many of you have heard me say throughout the years, we're not taught how to deal with a pandemic. We're not taught to deal with how we feel looking in the mirror when we don't like what the physical body looks like. We're not taught to deal with being broken up with, or losing a job, or the world seeming to have lost its mind. We are not taught how to respond to the systems that have previously kept society and cultures in order. We're not taught how to deal with when they start to disintegrate, and when, liars and narcissistic egomaniacs take control of the helm. We're not taught how to deal with a world that seems to be losing its mind. And I think that when the world starts to look like that, that just means that there are more and more of us who are experiencing it on an internal level, in our internal environment. Because I believe that as within, so without, and vice versa. What we see outside, how can that not be a reflection of what's going on within us? I know that there were a lot of people who were sort of running on empty before the pandemic. For those people who had suffered trauma before the pandemic, one of two things happened during the pandemic. Either they were re-traumatized, or they were like, I got this, I can do this. For people who had never suffered, really, this was the beginning of an education. This was the beginning of the soul changing, of the psychological work and the spiritual work and the energetic work needing to be done. And that is exhausting. And so what's your rest ethic? What's the structure that you impose on yourself, that you adhere to, that you self-regulate with, if and when you get to the point when you realize that your work ethic is starting to actually hurt you? It's starting to steal. It's starting to pull you away from where work ethic was supposed to bring you in the first place. When we do and exhaust ourselves doing, how do we end up being? My ways of contributing or structuring my rest ethic: number one, I need to get out of my day-to-day environment, which means going away geographically. This is my home here in England. Greece is my home. Going to those two places nourishes my soul. It gives me a hard reset. It lets me do this work where I can see everything with perspective and recognize that, yeah, there are parts of my mind that are working in overdrive all the time. And I need to ask them to step back, to soften, not to disappear, but to trust that I've got this. I don't need them at the wheel. Part of my rest ethic is putting my phone away. Part of my rest ethic is recognizing that whatever speed or rhythm I believe my life has started to become accustomed to, that feels like it might be a little bit too quick, that's down to me. And I have control over that. My rest ethic: be with people I love. My rest ethic is sometimes just tune out. Tune out through meditation. Tune out through working out. Tune out through yoga. tune out through turning a show on and letting that capture my attention. And very often it's about tuning out by being on my own, which theoretically is an idea that has scared me in the past. As a kid, I hated being alone. I felt so alone, so I wanted other people. Today, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you're getting the real England moment now, aren't you? But I think that we all need to take a look at what our rest ethic is, and if we don't have one, we need to start to create one. And essentially, a rest ethic is just asking yourself, okay, what am I going to do when I recognize that I've got to slow down? I've got to stop. Stop the doing, stop the producing, forgetting about contributing to an economic society, forgetting about the distraction. Because listen, work ethic is great until it becomes bypass. Anything is great until it becomes bypass. And bypass simply means that all of a sudden we're using whatever that thing is that we're so accustomed to avoid actually dealing with the stuff that is sitting there in the corner waiting for us to just shine a light on it. Over the past year and a half, I have gotten very, very into studying even more psychology. And these systems that I'm studying have really helped me look back on my own experiences and contextualize everything, make sense, strip emotion away from events, and see the narrative. Past year and a half, past 3 years, 3.5 years has been writing my book, Storyteller, and my God, like giving birth to this one, I didn't want to write another book simply because the process of writing it and then, publishing it, the creative process is what pulls me to it, and the urge to accompany other people, just in a different way. That's what got me to write my first 2 books. After the second book, I thought, I'm never doing this again. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, damn it. That's how you know you're doing, or at least following your path of Dharma, because you can't not. Despite all of your best intentions, you can't not do it. And so this book is essentially finished, but I keep adding little details, editing, taking out. And ultimately, it all contributes, hopefully, to some form of guidance in a way that is somewhat rarefied these days. But I know that everything that has been going on, for me anyway, for the past year and a half, has been necessary. It demands that I do my share of the work. It demands that I be a better wellness coach and understand suffering even more than I already did. It demands that I continue to grow and evolve. It demands that I recognize that through rest there is growth and evolution. Rest ethic is simply ways that one will self-regulate. How are you going to create a list of things that you are going to do that if you do them, it's going to help you stop. It's going to help you slow down. It's going to help you balance, recontextualize, perhaps gain more information. And ultimately, know that when you start to bring yourself to this place where this is something that you want to do, you are ready for that internal voice that has kept you from doing this, that gives you all the reasons not to, that keeps you in the pattern of doing and going. I think it's really important for all of us to figure out what that rest ethic is. For me, right now, my rest ethic is going to be about putting down this microphone. I'll put down the microphone, I will upload the file, I'll add all the, bells and whistles to it, put it up so that you all can listen to it, and then really get to resting. Being here, in this place that in the best way, haunts me because it's so beautiful. And as I speak to you right now, I'm looking over the fence. I'm looking at these headstones. Can I see any dates? 1807. I mean, the etching, they're so old that the etching you can barely see what the years are, what the words are. I'm staring over the fence at these headstones, these long weeds, and you can sort of make the headstones out between all the foliage. I'm looking out over here and thinking, I need more of this. This is my rest ethic. Coming back to the physical places that recharge my soul, coming back to the people who do the same thing, so that I can come back to myself. Because if I believe that I am simply me alone, independent of everybody else, then I'm fooling myself. We are because we are. I am the sum total of everybody who means something to me, everybody who has crossed my path, and vice versa. It's why I wrote Storyteller, because I understand that my narrative, in many ways, is no different from anybody else's narrative. The stories differ, but yet reflect each other, are evocative of each other's stories. And there are a billion ways right now where we are being encouraged to be divided, but what about if we actually share our narratives with each other in a way that is different from the way social media encourages us to do that, so that we can find commonality and recognize each other in each other's stories and start to laugh and cry and accompany each other, understanding that the details may differ, but the shared experience of being human, well, is shared. So I'm saying all this as I stare over the fence at these weeds and these headstones, speaking into this microphone again for the first time in almost 2 years, to let you know that I'm still here and that there will be more episodes of this podcast. And I'm really looking forward to all of that, because I feel like the fact that I even wanted to pick up this microphone, that is an indication of something. It means that I'm on the right side of the past year and a half. So with all that said, I hope you are all well. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on this. Feel free to reach out and let me know if you already have an established rest ethic. Let me know if you've ever even considered that a rest ethic is possible. And if you don't already have one, feel free to send me, however you would be comfortable reaching out to me, send me your ideas, your insights, your thoughts on rest ethic and how that might look for you. Give it a good think. And I'll see you soon. You are listening to the Examine Life with Bram Levinson.